Hey everybody, this is Rykard here again, and welcome to another Pokemon Movesets video. Today's video is going to be all about Steelix and Mega Steelix, so let's get started by taking a look at this Pokemon's typing, abilities, and stats. So to start things off, Steelix is a Steel Ground-type Pokemon introduced into Generation 2, with its Mega evolution being later introduced in Generation 6. But for its abilities, the first one that it gets is known as Rock Head, which unfortunately is an ability that Steelix really can't make use of because it doesn't learn a ton of moves that have recoil that would be negated by Rock Head, except really for Double Edge, and that's not even that great of an option for this guy to run anyway. But as for its second ability, it is known as Sturdy, which prevents this Pokemon from being one-hit KO'd from full health, which is a very useful ability, especially on a more bulky Pokemon like this guy. And finally, for its last ability, it is known as Sheer Force, which is this Pokemon's hidden ability which boosts the power of moves that have secondary effects, such as Body Slam having a chance to paralyze, at the cost of having that chance removed entirely for that greater power. But for its stats, Steelix is a very physically bulky Pokemon, possessing a base 200 defense stat, meaning it is going to be able to take physical hits extremely well, while also possessing a base 75 HP, which is alright, and a base 65 special defense, which is okay as well. However, because this Pokemon is so physically bulky, you're pretty much going to run special defense EVs in it just to make it more of a mixed wall, which is always really cool to see on a Pokemon like this. But for its offensive stats, it has a base 85 physical attack, which is alright for a more bulky Pokemon, a base 55 special attack, which is definitely significantly weaker there, and then also a base 30 speed, which means this Pokemon is going to be fairly slow, but also a prime candidate for use of the Gyro Ball move, which is a steel type move this Pokemon would get Stab on. But upon Mega evolving through the use of the Steelix item, a few different things happen to this Pokemon. The first of being, of course, it getting the new Sand Force ability, which increases the power of Steel, Rock, and Ground type moves while a Sandstorm is up on the battlefield, which is very cool to see. And additionally, this Pokemon also gets a huge boost in a couple of its stats, namely getting a 30-point boost into its physical defense, a 30-point boost into its special defense, and a 40-point boost into its physical attack, making it more bulky and also more powerful in return. So when using this Pokemon, the cool thing about it is that both the Mega and the regular version can run very similar sets, and it really just depends on what tier this Pokemon ends up in, and usually the Mega will end up in a higher tier just because it has greater stats all around, but all the sets in this video, unless I specify otherwise, can pretty much be used by both types of Steelix. So let's get started by taking a look at the first moveset that I have for you in this video. So for this first moveset, we're going to be running Steelix in a more defensive way, which is pretty much how you've probably seen him used in the past. But for this nature, we're going to begin by giving it either a Careful nature to increase its special defense but lower its special attack, or a Sassy nature to increase its special defense but lower its speed, which is preferred if you're going to use this Pokemon in Trick Room or with the use of the Gyro Ball move. But for the ability, we're going to be going with Sturdy to prevent one-hit KOs from full health. And then for the EVs, running a max specially defensive spread with 252 HP EVs, 4 attack, and 252 special defense EVs to basically enhance this Pokemon's special bulk considerably because its physical bulk is already really good without any investment. Now I'm sure that we could argue for a while as to what the best really min-maxed investment of this Pokemon could be for defenses, but this is the way that I'd typically run it if I'm just going to kind of throw it together and make it as a defensive wall. And I could also even see an argument being made to putting a few speed EVs into it when using the Careful nature over the Sassy one, just because of the fact that this Pokemon, being base 30 speed, does tie with a lot of other things like Slowbro and Slowking and Amoonguss and stuff like that, so being a little bit faster than them could be useful. But for the moves, the first one that we're going to go with on this set is going to be Stealth Rock to allow this Pokemon to set up those rock entry hazards, and then be going with 2 stab options in the form of either Earthquake for your ground stab, and then either Heavy Slam or Gyro Ball for your steel stab. And Heavy Slam is really good on this Pokemon because of how heavy it is, and even more so on the Mega version because it's even heavier, but Gyro Ball could also be really great as well because of the fact that it is a move that is based off of how slow you are compared to your opponent, and Steelix can be very slow. And for the last moveset, there are quite a few options to go with. Toxic is a great option to allow you to status opponents and slowly wear them down. Rest could also be great when used on this Pokemon to allow it to have reliable recovery. Roar could also be great to allow it to phase Pokemon out, and also Dragon Tail can be used in that same regard, which is actually even more beneficial for this guy because Fairy types really wouldn't want to switch it on Steelix, so you can pretty much Dragon Tail everything because obviously they don't want to take a Heavy Slam or a Gyro Ball. But for the item on the set, we could obviously go with Steelix, which will give you the Mega, but if you're not going to be running this Steelix in the tier that Mega Steelix is in and want to use the regular version, we can go with either Leftovers to recover HP at the end of every turn, a Chesto Berry to work specifically in combination with Rest, or Rocky Helmet to allow this Pokemon to maximize its usefulness as a physical wall by making it so that your opponent takes damage every time they damage Steelix with a contact-based move. As for this next moveset, we're going to be running Steelix as a more offensive tank. So we're going to start this one off by giving it either an Adamant nature to increase its physical attack but lower its special attack, or a Brave nature to increase its physical attack but lower its speed stat when used on either a Trick Room team or to maximize the damage of Gyro Ball. But for the ability this time, we can go with Sturdy to prevent those one-hit KOs from full health, or go with the Sheer Force ability this time as a way of maximizing damage on attacks that have a secondary effect. But for the EVs, we're going to max our HP with 252 into that, and also max our physical attack for 252 in that, and then we'll put the remainder 4 EVs into its special defense. And like I mentioned in the previous video, I could also see you possibly wanting to run some speed EVs on this if you're not running Brave or on a Trick Room, just to allow it to outspeed a couple of things it would normally speed tie with. But for the moves, we're going to go with either a Steel type move in the form of Heavy Slam, Gyro Ball, or Iron Head. Heavy Slam and Gyro Ball, probably more consistent damage, but Iron Head is also really good if you're using it with Sheer Force because it does have a chance to flinch, and means that'll be boosted in power when used with Sheer Force. Then we're going to run with Earthquake because that's going to be our main stab and strongest ground type move that we learn. And then also running Stone Edge or Rock Slide in a third move slot. Stone Edge obviously being the less accurate but more powerful option, but Rock Slide being better when used with Sheer Force because it is more accurate in that regard. As for the last move though, we can either run Crunch to give more coverage, Explosion as a way to do massive damage on a last ditch effort when you just don't need this Pokemon anymore and really just want to hit something really hard before you go down, or going with Stealth Rock to give this Pokemon some utility and being able to set up hazards even on a more offensive set. But for the item, Steelix Sight, again, a great option if you're going to use this for Mega Steelix because it will hit harder. Life Orb could also be really good because obviously you want to use that in combination with the Sheer Force ability because Life Orb recoil doesn't happen on moves that have a secondary effect when used with Sheer Force, or going with a Choice Band for regular Steelix as well to give you a little bit more power outright. And it's also important to note that if you do use this Pokemon on a Sand team, it's going to be doing massive damage with the Steelix Sight item because you get the Sand Force ability. So that's something really cool to keep in mind and an option to consider when using the Mega version of this Pokemon. As for this next moveset, we're going to be giving Steelix a little bit more of an offensive presence by boosting its speed. So we're going to start this one with a Jolly Nature to increase its speed but lower its special attack, and then running the Sheer Force ability on the set just to give it a little bit more boosted damage when using the regular version of Steelix. As for the EVs, we're going to put 252 into physical attack this time, 4 into its defense, and then 252 EVs into its speed stat to max that out. And even with the base 30 speeds Pokemon, with max speed investment, the Jolly Nature, and then also a +2 boost from either Autotomize or Rock Polish, which is the first move on the set, you will be able to outpace quite a lot of things. But the added bonus of Steelix is that it's so physically bulky that if you're able to set up on a physical attacker, you may very well have a chance to set up multiple Rock Polishes if you are given the opportunity to. Now, the thing about Autotomize and Rock Polish is that Autotomize does have your speed, which could be useful for taking less damage from Low Kick or Grass Knot, which is an option, but more often than not, Rock Polish is the better option, especially if you're going to go with Heavy Slam as your main Steel type move, because Autotomize would pretty much counteract the usefulness of Heavy Slam since it's based off of weight. But when using the regular Steelix, Iron Head or Iron Tail is probably the preferred option just to be used in combination with Sheer Force because both these moves will be boosted by Sheer Force. Iron Head obviously because of his chance to flinch, and Iron Tail because of his chance to lower defense, but it is a little bit inaccurate when using Iron Tail, though it is the more powerful option. Then again, of course, we have Earthquake for your main stab ground move, and then Stone Edge, Rock Slide, or Crunch for coverage. Rock Slide and Crunch also being boosted by Sheer Force as an option to keep in mind. And then for the item, Steelix Sight if you're going to use Mega Steelix, or Life Orb if you're going to use regular Steelix. So both of these options give it a lot of ability to have an offensive presence, whether as a tank in the previous set or as a speed booster in this set, and especially this one is a little bit more uncommon and very unexpected, which can be a great surprise and an asset to your team when using it. As for this fourth moveset, this is the only one in the video that you can really only use with the regular version of Steelix because of the Sheer Force ability. So we're going to start this one off by giving it a Modest Nature to increase its special attack but lower its physical attack, and then for the EVs, putting 252 into its HP stat, 252 into its special attack stat, and 4 into its special defense. Now for the item, Leftovers and Life Orb are good options. Leftovers for the added recovery, but Life Orb to really boost your power further, which could be very useful for this set, primarily because Steelix really doesn't have, as mentioned before, a fantastic special attack stat. However, because of the Sheer Force ability, it actually significantly benefits this Pokemon's ability in being a specially offensive Pokemon to an extent where it is somewhat almost comparable to that of a physical set. And this is also more unexpected and allows you to deal great damage to more physical walls because you're going to be hitting them with special attacks. So for the moves on the set, we're again going to run Stealth Rock just because it's a great option to give us Pokemon the ability to set up rocks, but we're also going to be running Flash Cannon, Earth Power, and Dark Pulse as your attacking moves, all special attacks that will be boosted by the power of sheer force. And this is really cool and something that I really hadn't thought of until recently, because I have used many a time a Tauros using special attacks, which has almost a comparable special attack stat to Steelix, but it works very effectively just because the moves themselves are so powerful when boosted by sheer force and additionally a life orb. So this can be something that's very unexpected. It also does pack significant power to an extent that allows it to net similar damage to opponents, but hitting them on the special side, which is less common, and something I really suggest you do take a chance at trying out. But like I said before, this really only works with the regular version of Steelix because of sheer force. Finally, for the last moveset of this video, we're going to be running Steelix as a cursing booster. So we're going to start this one off by giving it a sassy nature to increase its special defense but lower its speed stat, and then running the sturdy ability. For the EVs, we're going to max its HP and its special defense with 252 EVs into those stats, and then also put the remainder 4 EVs into its physical attack. And for the item on the set, running Steelixite for the Mega version, leftovers for a little bit of recovery at the end of every turn for the regular version, or a Chestoberry for the regular version as well, to be used in combination with Rest. But for the moves on the set, the first one is going to be Cursed to boost our physical attack, our physical defense, and lower our speed by 1 stage. And this will make this Pokemon increasingly more physically powerful and also physically bulky, while also making it slower. And because we're making it slower, Gyro Ball will be our main steel type attack on the set because it's based off of how slow you are, and when you are at your slowest, Gyro Ball will have a base 150 power, which is absolutely immense for any attacking move that you can just fire off so easily. But if you want to run Earthquake as your main attack option, you can as well for the ground type coverage. As for the last 2 moves on the set, we could either run additional coverage by running Gyro Ball and Earthquake together with Rest, or pick a mono attacking set with either Gyro Ball or Earthquake and run the Rest Sleep Talk combination to allow you to still be a threat even while asleep, at the possibility of obviously cursing with Sleep Talk or using Gyro Ball or Earthquake to hit your enemies. So either of these options works really well. Again, making use of the Chestoberry as the item with Rest if you would like to give you that immediate use of your boosted stats as soon as you recover all of your health from Rest. But anyways, everybody, that is it for this video. So thank you all for watching this video on both Steelix and Mega Steelix, a Pokemon that I've wanted to make a video on for a while. So as always, everybody, thank you all for watching, and take care, goodbye, because I will see you all next time.